Welcome, Coaches Roundtable. I'm Ed Codi, and welcome our guest, former Pittsburgh Steeler running back, University of Notre Dame, Vietnam War veteran and hero, Rocky Butler. And Rockies, I was just saying to you, I don't think anyone else has your accomplishments. 4 Super Bowl rings with the Steelers and a national championship ring from Notre Dame. You're in a category all by yourself.
Probably so, and it's just a matter of picking the right team to go to. But who knows if that would happen.
Well, Rock, let's get to the story at hand. I know you were critical a month or so ago. It came out about what's going on with the Steelers. Let's look at the state of the Steelers. Go back to the beginning of the season, when the Steelers tagged Le'Veon Bell with the franchise tag. I know it surprised a lot of people, and he said he might not play, which he did not play. And then you have the situation here with Antonio Brown pouting during the season if the ball wasn't thrown to him, and then committing a cardinal sin, going AWOL in that last game against the Bengals. So Art Rooney kind of downplayed it all, Rock. You've been in many locker rooms before. Not everyone gets along, but I don't think you ever encountered a teammate walking out on a team in an important game.
No, I haven't. And especially with the team that we played with throughout the 70s. It's tough to sit here, you and I, and talk about it outside of being in that locker room and not knowing the dynamics of what really takes place. Because there's two things. I mean, there's one, there's the assumption of what happens or what we'd like to see happen or what we think happens. And then there is the actual dynamics that take place within that locker room. And so it's somewhat difficult at times, and I'm just not downplaying it, but just to be able to say, okay, fine. But yeah, so on the surface, you say, as a fan or as a former player, back to Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, for whatever reason, Le'Veon doesn't really want to play this game. He doesn't have the passion to play this game. He's a great talent. Because otherwise you would be here. Otherwise you would have worked out the financial situation or the understanding of it. And the man would be walk away a very wealthy man. But obviously, for whatever, he decides not to play. It's hard for us to, look at that and say, how can you turn down that kind of money? But maybe in that alter ego world that the several players play in, it's like, well, it's not enough, and I'm worth more than that, or whatever it might be. But really, the essence is playing. The essence is of being part of a group and the team. The essence is, what do you accomplish within your life, and how do you want you to be perceived, and or what do you leave behind? What becomes of your legend when you have the talent to be able to create your own legend? And so Le'Veon Bell, may end up being the richest running back, but the legacy he leaves behind is very fragmented. AB is kind of doing the same thing to himself, and maybe shooting himself in the foot, because here's a team that has given him the opportunity to be who AB is. And he is an excellent player, and he is a great threat, and he's won a lot of games for us in the past. And sometimes you say, okay, AB, because of your success, people aren't going to allow you to continue to be that successful. But it'll help the team because it'll open up other receivers and or our running game or whatever it is, because they can't double team you and not have somebody else open. So it's all these dynamics that take place that where egos become over bigger than life, and all of a sudden you become more important in the game. And really, as we've come to understand, there's no one player that is more important to the game than the essence of the whole team. And unfortunately, both of those two players have stepped out of that realm. Their futures they're gone. I mean,
you think, Rock, is there any way that the Steelers can bring Antonio back. Not only did he go AWOL on his team, but kind of disparaged and highly disrespected Mike Tomlin and even the Steelers organization with his messages on the internet and his postings. Can Art Rooney really bring him back?
I don't think so. No, I don't think that he can, and I don't think that Art will. What he will do, and what I read in his statement is that he's not going to release him. He's going to trade him and find the best deal that he possibly can to get the most back for his talent in whatever that team it might be. So no, I don't think you can't allow that to happen for one individual. And what you may think is for the betterment of the team, that's not it's the mass, it's the team that becomes important. So yes, in the essence, AB will no longer be with us. Where he'll end up, who knows? But it'll be the best deal for the Steelers.
Hey, Rock, when you talk about locker room dynamics, and I don't think everyone got along on the teams, championship teams you played with. I don't think it was a cozy relationship between Noel and Bradshaw. So having said that, and I never heard anyone call out other players in the newspaper, what kind of significance do you place on Roethlisberger coming out in the paper and being critical of Antonio Brown and even the rookie wide receiver James Washington?
Yeah, that again, it's either it's a part of the team dynamics. Now, Roethlisberger, and I don't know, I'm just an assumption on my part, might have been able to say things about AB, only because that has been the feeling on the team itself. And maybe he was just expressing what other players felt, about AB, being the individual that he was and not the team player that we expect people to become. And so, and part of that philosophy, it's got to come from leadership, which is that what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room, and you don't let it get out. You don't talk about players or teammates, and so sometimes I think that what has happened, the control has got out a little out of hand, and maybe because Coach Tomlin hasn't put a tighter grip on actions and or what the expectations.
So you place some of the responsibility on Tomlin for cleaning up or having a tighter locker room culture?
Well, I think it has to start somewhere, and where does it start? It starts really at the top, and somebody's got to take responsibility for the dysfunction that has taken place, or the assumed dysfunction that has taken place within that locker room. And so, and so sometimes in that leadership role, you just have to step forward, right or wrong, or whether you believe it or not, and just say, hey, I've let things get out of hand, or whatever it might be. And then the second thing is part of that philosophy has to penetrate into the players, because a lot of leadership comes on peer pressure within the team itself. And again, not being in that locker room, I don't know what those dynamics are, but I don't necessarily see it a lot. So I go back. So we got Joe Green and Jack Lambert, who are the peer leader or peer pressure and the expectations of what you should do as a player. And there's two things you don't want to do is cross either one of them in that regards, because they will talk to you. They will get in your face quicker than anybody else. So sometimes I look at this team dynamics, and I'm not saying it's not there. I just don't see it as prevalent as some other teams or in the past.
Hey, Rock, thanks a lot for joining us. You know, they talked years ago about winning one for the thumb. You already have one with the 4 Super Bowl rings from the Steelers and one from Notre Dame. It's always good to hear from you, Rock. Take care. Hope to have you on again here in the coming season.
Anytime. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be right back with Alan George. I'm back, joined to my right by the Swami George Abraham, to the left by the Tiger Albert Campman. Interesting to have Rocky Bleier on as we talk. You know, 4 Super Bowl rings and the national championship ring from Notre Dame. I don't think anyone else has ever accomplished that. And in a nutshell, guys, he just said, being careful, he doesn't see or think, not being in a locker room, that there's that kind of leadership in her that he had when he played for the Steelers with Joe Green and Lambert, who would not let things get out of line in that locker room.
George and I went on air and went on record of saying the exact same thing. We believe that with our heart. First, it starts with Tom, and we understand that. But when the head coach is constantly banging people, they get tired of hearing it. So who takes over? The players. And all of a sudden, it works like a charm when you have somebody in that locker room.
Leadership. Your best. See, the problem is your best players need to get the others in line, and their best players are the ones
they're causing the problem.
And I just heard recently, not only Antonio's been late to meetings or whatever, reporting late for you. It's also happened with Le'Veon Bell. It's also happened with Big Ben.
Don't surprise me that it happened with all of them. The way you looked at what's going on down there.
Yes,
it could be a runaway freight train.
They had a quote today. Bell put something on Twitter. China. He had it as a verb. China. Tryna.
I like what you wrote. I can see some of those tweets.
Quit trying.
And he said the best thing. I don't want to hear one thing that Antonio Brown writes.
No.
Who wants to hear him talk?
And Rocky doesn't think that Art Rooney II can bring him back.
They're not. They don't want to. This minute, they don't want to.
It's time to change things.
They know for sure. They don't want
him.
What's that
old saying? You'd rather lose without him than win with him.
And they haven't won with them.
And Tomlin's saying the exact same. Tomlin's saying the exact. He don't want him back either.
Hey, Bell, Ben, and Brown
have won. I think the pressure's on Tomlin.
You know that.
Clean it up.
Am I right? Bell, Ben, and Brown have won nothing.
Not together.
No. Is that true together?
No,
not together.
Well, there you go.
Let's go to Spotlight High School basketball. Top scorers as we head into the second half of the season. Corey Fusco of Mars, 33 and 22. Mason Bush, Seneca Valley, 30, averages 20.1 a game. And he had that 30 in a game that we did.
He's a pretty good player.
Jalen Vaughn, Beaver Falls, 27 and 20, average of 20 a game. Ben Drake, First Baptist Christian, 24 and 22. Andrew Recchia of Mars, 24. He averages 17.6 a game. Maddox Clement of Butler, 23 in that game that we did in Albert. He was 1 for 6 shooting in the first half. He lit it up in the third quarter with 5 trays, 2 steals. Late on one steal was a 2-pointer. He had 17 points in that quarter.
Well, that is a teaching tool there for you coaches and parents. If he's spent that time in the gym, you don't tell a kid just because he missed some to quit. You tell the guy, keep shooting. You're gonna hit. And that's what happened.
He had the
him.
fastest 14 points I think it was in 3 minutes.
4 in a row.
Albert. It was bang, and then he stole the ball on the top of that press.
It was only 33 to 28 at the half, and then he opened it up for Butler.
Keep shooting
in that third quarter.
He's
now,
a shooter.
Shoot. Good job, George.
His dad, who had those 8 trays against Ambridge when he played for Jula, but got pulled in the fourth quarter, doesn't have the bragging rights at the dinner table anymore.
That's me long gone before he goes to.
Austin Thaler of Karn City, 23 and 21. Jackson Pascal of North Catholic, 23. Jalen Brown of Freeport, 22. Scott Fraser of Knock, 21. Drew Cox of Newcastle, 21. Isaac DiGregorio of North Catholic, 20. He's averaging 20.7 per game. Nathan Colo of Vincentian, 20. Dan Petcash, Pine Richland, 20. He's averaging 21.5. And although he didn't hit 20, you have to mention Ethan Morton in that Seneca Valley game. Had 19 points, 19 rebounds, 12 assists, and 2 blocks.
That's an NBA stat sheet.
Amazing.
Hey, and it was legit.
His passing was so good.
He gets every rebound. Then he takes off. He sees the entire floor. Doesn't take bad shots. Amazing player.
You know, a kid I think is really underrated. We just go right by all the time. That I think Petcash is really good.
Oh yes, he's excellent.
Morton is so good that you don't get. But Petcash is a heck of a player, too.
Yeah, in a game that when they beat Butler, he had 28 points and
He's a heck
9
of a player.
rebounds.
He's my Lynn Shackelford. He's my guy, lefty. Oh, yeah. Don't let him bend. Don't let him aim.
Yeah.
For the girls, Dominica Logue of Union Reimersburg, 26. Samantha Clark of Freeport, 22. Ty Johnson of Mars, 20. She averages 20.7 per game. And Lizzie Grosh of undefeated North Allegheny, 20. For the college men, Micah Till, Slippery Rock University, 20 points, 17 rebounds. He now has 1,000 career points and 500 career rebounds.
And the team's on a roll.
They've won 10 in a row. Yes.
He's bad, dude. That guy could play.
Jared Armstrong of the Rock had games of 25 and 26. John Warren II, 20. The Rock, with the 10 straight wins, they're 9-1, tied for first in the PSAC West.
Coach Grady, as George just talked to him, said, hey, he's got him right where he wanted. He's got him narrowed in and focused. Coach Reynolds brought those players. Give him credit for that.
Got him.
He got the players, but Coach Grady's the one who has them going in the right direction.
A week before, all of a sudden, hey, move over.
Yes.
It's a big step over. He's done fantastic, and they have Pitt Johnstown Wednesday night, big game.
Joe Stutz of BC3, 33 and 28. Jace Stutz of BC3, 22. For the women, Brooke Hinderleiter, Slippery Rock University, 24. The Rock women, 8 and 8. Casey Kretzer of BC3, she had 35 points, a school record, 8 3-pointers. And Mackenzie Craig, BC3, she had 36 points and 31 rebounds. We'd really like to know where these girls are going next year.
I want to know where the Stutzes are going. I heard Jeff.
Yes.
I heard that Geneva. They fit his.
That'd be perfect. In there.
Perfect style.
Well, Tom, you couldn't pick a better place.
Yeah.
Watching them play and watching Geneva play.
Yeah.
George, thanks for that.
Perfect
I think that's a perfect place.
Yeah, I heard Jeff's on him.
Okay.
And college football, Slippery Rock University running back Wes Hills, 6'2", 220. He was named MVP of the NFLPA, the NFL Players Association Collegiate Bowl, played in the Rose Bowl. He had 10 carries for 78 yards. He's getting a lot of looks from the NFL. Next up, he's playing in the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama.
Wait,
Yeah,
if he's in the Senior Bowl,
You
they only get the top.
You know, he's there. Tracy McSorley's there. Will Greer's there.
No, Senior Bowl's the place to be.
No, this guy's right there with him.
He's going to get drafted.
And it's not the game so much. Senior Bowl, they're at droves at practice.
Scouts are there.
Yes,
Hey, I'm telling you now, he's no free agent.
No, he's going to get drafted.
He's gonna
if
get
he's in the
drafted.
Senior Bowl, he's going to get drafted.
Yes.
Swimming, what a year, Seneca Valley Athletics. The girls are 7-0, the boys are 6-1. 28 Raider swimmers have qualified for the WPIAL. And sophomore Kendall Craig, he's qualified in all 8 individual events.
The numbers you're giving me today, I'm laughing. 28 kids.
Farrell doesn't graduate
They don't
28.
graduate 28.
No, they don't.
No, Farrell's bus to school takes 22 kids.
Yeah.
Seneca Valley swimming trip takes.
And they come around there in droves. They come around to that circle up there like for an hour. Just
Well,
keep coming.
you know the big swim. We're going to do swimming. Seneca
That's
Valley.
amazing.
Seneca Valley would be at Butler February the 14th. But don't forget, they got that other team just down the road from them, a little south from them.
You know, we talk about them all the time. Cross country,
no.
they come in 3 buses.
No.
Cross country, little 6 girls come out.
Yeah.
They
They come in a van, and they bring 3 motorcades, buses.
Yes.
Let's go to our basketball power rankings. Boys 6A. Wow, what a wild week it was. USC, they lost. Upper St. Clair lost their first game to Mount Lebanon. They turned around and beat number 1 Alderdice.
Pretty amazing.
So who do you make number 1? I make Upper St. Clair was their first loss, followed by Pine Richland, Mount Lebanon, Butler, Latrobe, and Alderdice. In 5A, undefeated Moon, followed by Mars, Penn Hills, Franklin Regional, and Chartiers Valley. In 4A, you had some turmoil and Quaker Valley got beat. Then Ambridge got beat, so the Canes are up on top. I don't expect they'll stay there too long, maybe. Followed by Quaker Valley, Ambridge, Uniontown, and quietly Knock, putting together a very, very strong season.
Yeah.
In 3A, Lincoln Park, Seton LaSalle, North Catholic, Aliquippa, and Deer Lakes. And in 2A, Olsh, Sarah Catholic, Summit Academy moving up to number 3, Sewickley Academy in California. In 1A, it's Cornell with that win over Nazareth Prep. They dropped to number 2. Union and Newcastle number 3. Monessen 4. And Bishop Canterbury 5.
You know, in football, remember how we used to talk about how Division 5, how powerful they were, Gateway? It's the opposite. If you want to play in a section that's the weakest, it's 4.
4,
You want to be in 4. That's where you want to be. You can win in 4. These other ones have dominating teams.
Oh,
you can.
This is the best 6 it's been.
Yeah,
Hickory's going to win that 4.
You can win in 4.
Hickory's going to win that 4.
Yeah.
Now the 3A, that's another story.
Yeah, yeah.
6, throw them in the hat and pick one up.
Oh,
Yes.
there's 5
That's just
teams
the way it
there.
is.
Sure.
And then you leave the Whipple, you got McDowell, Kennedy, and Alderdice.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Hello.
jeez.
I mean, you would think after Upper St. Clair lost to Mount Lebanon, they came right back and had a great game against Alderdice.
That was one of the best wins of the year.
Yes.
Coming back off a loss, you're devastated. Come back to the very next night
And win a
beat a
big
team
game
like
like that.
Alderdice.
You know,
Yes.
it's so styles. You guys know better.
Yes.
It's styles.
For the girls in 6A, undefeated North Allegheny, followed by Norwin, undefeated Peters Township, Bethel Park, and Fox Chapel. In 5A, it's Chartiers Valley, undefeated 17-0, followed by Oakland Catholic, Gateway, Slippery Rock in there at number 4, and Penn Hills. In 4A, it's North Catholic, Blackhawk, Central Valley, Southmoreland, and Freeport. Next Monday from North Catholic High School, we will be there to bring you the game between number 5 Freeport and number 1 North Catholic. In 3A, Shady Side Academy, followed by Neshannock, Carlinton, Beaver, and Washington. 2A, Bishop Canevin, Olsh, Sarah Catholic, Brentwood, and Laurel. And in 1A, West Green, Greensburg Central Catholic, Rochester, Sewickley Academy, and Clairton.
You're giving me some great lead-ins today.
Yeah.
I just heard Sharp Valley 17-0. See, I would have hoped. I'm the nemesis of Mike White. I would have hoped that Tim McConnell would have taken a job, that the team was 3-17 and makes. Now I know why he took over the girls.
Yeah.
He knew exactly.
This girl
He
plays.
was getting.
17-0.
Hey,
Yeah.
his daughter's
He
playing.
knew exactly.
I saw him down there shooting with her when she's a little tank. I thought, oh, another one coming. She can shoot.
Yeah,
it.
he knows. That means he's going to be a runaway freight
His
train.
brother's team's number 1 in the country.
And the defending state champs, Mars, they've lost 3 section games already.
But still,
That's what you gotta
man,
know. Right.
Yeah.
still. You know, you don't want to draw him in the tournament. Oh,
No.
I got Mars.
No, but I'm just saying that's how good the section
That's
is.
that
yeah.
4th team that every
Yeah.
section has that nobody wants to play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Someone's going to draw them. Yeah. Because that boys' team's loaded.
Yes.
You can tell they have how many scorers.
Oh, lots. Let's go to our stories of the week. The NFL playoffs, the first time ever in the history of the NFL that both championship games went into overtime. In the NFC, the Rams 26, the Saints 23 in overtime on Greg Zuerlein's 57-yard field goal. He had a 47-yarder to tie it up in regulation. And let's set the stage for one of the biggest controversies ever in the NFL on officiating. Tied at 20-20 with under 2 to play. The Rams defensive back, Roby Coleman, nailed, and I mean he nailed the Saints receiver, Tommy Lee Lewis, with a head-to-head hit. He had like 3 penalties there.
Yeah.
The personal foul, head-to-head, targeting,
And pass
interference.
Yeah, that's all.
And the official, who must have been sitting down having a hot dog and hot chocolate right there, didn't make a call. And so instead of that being a 1st and goal at the 5, now they can't run the clock down. They kick the field goal. They take the lead 23-20 with 1:41 to go. The Rams come back. Zuerlein makes that field goal. 47 yards to go into overtime, and the rest, as they say, is history. The Rams go to the Super Bowl, and the Saints have a long, anguished offseason.
If that play happened any of the 16 games on the regular season, that flag's out. Those referees are in a meeting. I know they are because I see it every year. They said, don't decide this game. And he decided the game by not throwing the flag.
That's one of the worst sayings of all time.
Oh, they do it in the pro.
But at any level, high school, whatever, don't make when
Foul.
you make the call or you don't
I get it.
make the call. You've decided the game. In a game
Exactly.
years ago with Butler and Erie Prep player, Butler won by 1 at Butler. He was fouled, hammered. No call was made. They didn't want to decide it. So what was that coach name?
Marcel Uribe.
He went over. He said, "I'll be waiting for you next year." They shot like 35 foul shots the next year, and Butler shot about 8.
Yeah, just your fans watching the playoffs. Keep track of this from now on. If you're averaging like 16 penalties a year during the regular season, it's cut in half. They do not throw the flags.
If they don't call offside,
they don't. Yeah.
But that was blatant.
Oh no,
Oh,
we
yeah,
know.
no.
I know it's right call.
That
me ask you guys,
that
They just won't
official,
call it.
he choked, is what I'm
No,
saying.
he didn't choke.
Oh, I
I
think
told
he
you what
choked.
happened. No,
I-
they've
no.
been told. And
Not on a call like that.
No.
Not on a call like that. I mean,
Well, why
some
wouldn't
90-year-old grandmother watching it knew it was a helmet to helmet
That's like
hit.
this one guy said he's watching with his wife. She never watched. She goes, "Isn't that a penalty?"
It was definitely a penalty.
Let me ask you guys real quick. There's a thing in the commissioner. There's a provision. Now they're not going to replay, but if ever there was a reason to have the provision,
That'd be it.
that would be it. You know they're not doing it.
Here's what's coming for next year. Is my prediction. The video review penalty official in the press box.
Yeah, I think
it's going to be in there. But you know what? They did get together. They do have those little monitors. Why? One
more thing
official
for you
didn't come
guys.
over and
I
say
got one
something?
more for you guys. They're saying they want to review PI. It wasn't called. Mm-hmm. So you can't
No, it
review
wasn't called.
So you allowed to review it. It wasn't called.
That's
or
what
it
I'm
was-
saying.
I don't know
The
what it
correct
is.
call should have been a helmet-to-helmet hit.
Well, then
personal
he
foul.
tackled him before the ball.
Yes,
got there. That
all
wasn't
those
called.
Right.
calls were called.
Now, in the AFC, this old, slow New England team with the old, antiquated quarterback won 37-31 over Kansas City. At Kansas City in overtime on Rex Burkhead's 2-yard run. I just looked at the stats. Brady did throw 2 picks. Of course, a third one was nullified by the offside. But he threw for 348 yards. They piled up 524. Michelle had 113. You know, somewhere Vince Lombardi's smiling because the Patriots have been running to daylight. Here's something I didn't know. The difference between them, the Steelers say they should be there. They were third in the National League in rushing the football. The Steelers were down at the bottom.
Yeah, you got to be able to do both. But the reason they run the football, Eddie, because they're playing 7 defensive backs against Brady. So Brady's everything.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You understand? He's everything.
Right.
It's good you run the ball because you look at Belichick smart and says, listen, if they're going to play 7 defensive backs, we're going to run the ball.
They run those old-time lead plays.
You know, they just run yes.
It looked like the Packers.
But that's why.
It did look like old
Brady
school.
sets this all up.
Put a fullback
They
in
did.
there and use it. And
How about Michelle? 9 minutes of first quarter of the game. I called him. I said, forget kid. I said, they don't have the ball.
You know they had the ball for over 40 minutes.
Yeah, how do you can't lose.
And
I mean, you shouldn't.
Gronkowski was devastating in his blocking.
Yes, he was. He wasn't known for that before.
No.
He's developed into that now. It's awesome to see
There
that.
you go, the difference there with New England, how unselfish a player like
That's
he
great.
could say, I only caught 1 pass against the Chargers. I'm not going to do anything. But he did. Burkhead stepped up. And the wide receiver, Edelman, he's a tough cookie. Boys,
He's better than
takes
tough.
some shots.
I thought the best thing statement was whoever did, I can't remember the color man. He said, "Will somebody please step up and tell everybody Edelman's a Hall of Famer? He's that good." See, everybody keep forgetting how great he is. He's not good. He's great.
His toughness.
Because he's white, right? He's great.
Here's the thing: when you look at New England and those players, all right. They may not be the greatest, but here's one thing: they're smart and they're tough, and they don't do stupid things at the wrong time. Rare. Where did you see it? Or they won't play. They won't play for him. And you don't come late to meetings and things like that for the New England Patriots.
They don't stick the ball out. That's my big thing.
Yeah.
As dumb as that sounds. I mean, that's pretty. You know, how many games you see? Guy sticks the ball out.
Now, Belichick's record versus quarterbacks under the age of 25, he's 26-0.
Well, he had nothing to do with that one. They scored 31 points. They went up and down the field.
But the record is the record.
But
you're 26
but I'm on the other side. I'm not a Belichick guy like you are.
Yeah.
He had nothing to do with
well,
that.
I'm not a Belichick guy, but I'm going to give credit where credit is.
Brady's the guy.
Due. Oh, Brady's the guy, absolutely.
No.
Question.
It's either absolutely
Just
or not.
like Noel doesn't win 4 Super Bowls without Bradshaw.
What? Exactly. No. Yes.
No, they don't win 4 Super Bowls without Bradshaw. Bradshaw won all 4.
Yeah, I would probably think you're right. But Bradshaw's not Brady, though.
Okay.
No.
Because I think the Steelers have better players than New England does.
You know, next week we have a lot to talk about, so we have to make our predictions now about the game. But the Rams are very interesting. A great front 4 on defense. They have a power running game, but they have some deficiencies like both these teams do.
Oh, yes. These are not great teams.
Let me say this about the NFL playoffs. They've never been better. And this game with the Pats and Chiefs, the highest rating in 42 years.
Their numbers are up. I was going to tell you, I saw something the other day. The numbers are way up.
Yes. Hey, that is it. We run out of time. We will see you next week.